All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Hey, everybody, this is Sean with Flux here. I'd like to welcome one and welcome all to our first Flux webinar training series. I want to thank you all for joining. Today, we're going to go over part one of our email alerts overview. We'll be going over the first contact emails that a new user receives. If at any point that you would like to ask a question, we ask that you just type it into the question sections. We have dedicated the last few minutes for question and answer portions, so we'll address the questions that you send at that time. If for whatever reason we don't get a chance to answer your question in time, we'll try and curate those and answer those offline. All right, so with that, let's get started. Today in our agenda, we're going to be answering the following questions. What are the different emails that are sent out to new users? What is the intended purpose of these emails? Where do these emails live? How can I configure these emails? And how does the password reset email differ from others? And again, as I mentioned before, there will be a question and answer after the overview, and we will take a look at what we have from the crowd there. Now, let's go over how and when the new users are sent to your, how and when the new user emails are sent to your users. Flux will automatically send emails on your organization's behalf whenever a new user has been created. A new user is created in two different ways. The first is the creation of a user record by you or one of your internal employees. For example, let's say you've onboarded a new program officer onto your internal team. You or another admin will create a new user record for this program officer. Upon creation, this user will receive the new user email. The second way is through the submission of a registration or LOI. In the case of an LOI, a brand new grantee fills out your registration form from the landing page. From there, an employee with the proper profile and role will be able to connect that grantee to a new user record. Upon completion, that grantee will receive the new user email. Please keep in mind that a new user who has been created from an LOI via the connect link here will only have login credentials created if they've been connected by a user with the admin role. This, of course, differs based on your processes. Some folks invite grantees to apply upon submittal of a registration form, and then the user card is created internally. Either way, once a user's info has been completely filled out, the new user email will send with info on how to log in. We'll talk a little bit more about how you can customize your messaging later on. Now, let's go over what is the intended purpose of these emails. These emails are intended to automate processes within your Flux instance. For example, when a new user is created in your system, they will automatically receive the new user email if you have it enabled. New user emails are sent to any new user registered in your Flux instance. Again, like mentioned earlier, this may differ for different folks depending on their processes. Since these emails are the grantee's first contact from you, they act as a beginning point of communication with the grantees. Now, you may be asking yourself, where do I find these emails? Where do they live within the Flux environment? Well, there's 4 different new user emails that we're going to go over now. The first one is to verify an email account. The second and third ones are the new user email, which is also the one that is sent to the grantees when a grantee submits an LOI. And the final one is for resetting their credentials. Now let's take a peek into what these emails look like. You'll probably notice that we're currently in the admin panel. And these particular emails are going to be found in the plugin sections on the left column, under the add-ons tab, and then you're going to want to click on the grantee portal, and then make your way over to the right to its attributes. The reason is for this is because these particular emails relate primarily to grantees. Now, take note that these emails are unlike the queued emails that you would typically find generating in the queue section of the admin panel on the left. We'll go over that in great detail in part 2 of our email overview webinar. But for now, let's check out the verify account email text section in the attributes. You will see the verification email, which is used to make sure the grantee has a functional email address. This is similar to a majority of other websites that want to make sure that you are not a robot. Here you'll notice where it says verification link. This is the URL in the email body that a new user will click on to verify their account. The last piece of this email is a link to Flux application. This is for grantees. After the new user has verified their email, they will click on this link to take them back to their application. Now, let's switch gears and take a peek into what the new user email looks like. Now, this email is sent when a new user record is created by an admin, as well as when a contact is connected via LOI. This is the email that will give the grantee their credentials for their portal. It will have the username that was designated to them, and it will have the password. The last email that we'll look at is sent when a user resets their credentials. This is under the Send Login Info text section. This contains the new user's full name, login, and password that they have entered. Please note, this email is sent when they have successfully reset their credentials. Now, as I mentioned before, one thing to keep in mind is you won't find any of these emails in the queue section as highlighted here on the left-hand side. These emails are not queued because they're hard-coded by the system to send and don't need to be approved by a user. The alerts, which you'll be able to find in the queued section, are more nuanced and designed to cater to a client's individual grant process, which again, we'll cover in great detail in part 2 of our email alerts overview webinar. Now, how can you configure these emails? All of these emails have a section that is called the text editor, as indicated by the annotations on the screen. The text editor is a formatting tool for text, images, and tables. It works similarly to WordPad or TextEdit. For more information on all the text editor functions, make sure to keep an eye out for our future Styling Your Forms Flux webinar. You can also insert liquid code within the text editor. Liquid code is what's used in order to pull information from a different source. Common liquid code used in these emails are annotated on the current slide. The Flux link, which will insert your instance's URL. There's also login, which inserts the user's login. Following that, we have password, which will, surprise, insert the user's password. And finally, we have new user, which will insert the new user's first and last name. Now, how does the password reset email differ from the others? Unlike the other emails I've just shown you, this email is completely hard-coded and cannot be reconfigured due to its simplistic use case. A user can reset their password by clicking on this link on your landing page. Right there. And it's right below the login text fields. The user will then enter their email address to have the link to reset their password sent to them. The text that follows is the message that your user will receive upon initiating the password reset. As you can see here, the subject line will read password reset. And what follows is a simple message. Your site's URL will be the sender, and the reset password link will comprise the body of the message. The login at the bottom of the message is what the grantee will use to log in. All right, folks, that's going to wrap it up for the overview portion. And we're going to open it up for any question and answers that have come in. So we'll take a look here. Let's see, we have one here saying, can we change the text of the emails? You definitely do have the ability to change the text, but this is typically done before you go live. These are normally preset for you, and we recommend that you do not change the text. If you do, however, if you want to make those changes, feel free to reach out to support, and we'll be happy to walk you through the process. And why don't these emails show up in the queue? Again, great question. Like we mentioned before, these emails won't show up in the queue because they're hard-coded into the system. And they don't need any confirmation by a user to send out. It's just an automated process. All right. It looks like that's it for the questions today. So let's do a quick recap before we end today's webinar. Today in part one of the email webinar overview, we learned that what are the different emails that are sent out to the new users? What is the intended purpose of these emails? Where do these emails live? How can you configure these emails? And how does that password reset email differ from the other ones? All right, this concludes today's email overview webinar, and I hope you enjoyed it. If there's any features that we haven't covered extensively, don't worry. We'll be hosting trainings in the future to address them. To learn more and access the video recordings of this webinar and all our future ones, please visit our knowledge base at flux.io/knowledge. There you'll be able to find a list of our upcoming webinars, links to register for future webinars, recordings to past webinars, all under the training webinars header. There's also a link within the calendar that will allow you to submit ideas for future webinars. And again, if you have any questions, please reach out to support and we'll be happy to help you. Thanks again for joining us today, and we hope to host you again for our next meeting. Have a great day and the rest of your week.